What is good, YouTube? Welcome back to Timeless Sneakers and Watches. We're back at it again with another review, this time of BAM! Okay, well, I mean, if the camera zooms, that'll be great. Come on, camera. There you go. I mean, go ahead, take your time. We got all the time in the world here on YouTube. BAM! The IWC Mark 18 tribute to Mark 11. Guys, this watch was sent in and lent in by the one, the only, the man, the legend, Adam over at Belmont Watches. Adam, thank you so much, bro, for lending that watch in. Honestly, I've enjoyed handling this piece, learning a little bit more about IWC. And so I hope you guys enjoy the video. Also, shout out to Fomer Simpson. I am being uncivilized today. And that's the bottom line, 'cause Stone Cold said so. That was his line, right? I get it. IWC, I totally get it. We often hear the saying, simplicity at its best. Well, here's the best example I've seen. IWC, you killed it. The IWC Mark 18 tribute to Mark 11 pilot's watch. You may be looking at this piece and be thinking, that is a mouthful of a name, first of all. But really you're thinking, this looks just like any other pilot's watch in the market. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of similar watches out there that look extremely similar. Why would I pay over $5,000 for this? You are crazy. And you're 1000% correct. But it goes beyond just the visual aesthetics of this watch. But before we dive into this watch, let's get a better understanding of what you're dealing with. With this Mark 18 tribute to Mark 11, you get a 316L stainless steel case measuring at 40 millimeters with a height of 10.8 millimeters, a lug width of 20 millimeters. You get a screw down crown and a water resistance of 6 bar or 60 meters, enough for most water sports. The movement powering this beauty is the IWC Caliber 35111. Based on a Sellita SW300, it contains 163 components and 25 joules. It is automatic, self-winding, and hacks. Gives you 42 hours of power reserve. Beats at 28,800 BPH or 4 Hertz. And it is finished with Côtes de Genève and perlage work. You can't see it, but it's there. A black dial. And to be honest, when I first looked at this dial, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was blue. It was until later I realized the dial was actually black. You get a date display, which is a modern touch to this tribute, being the original had no date window. The crystal is secured by drop-in air pressure. The convex sapphire crystal has anti-reflective coating on both sides. The watch comes with a green textile strap. We can call it a NATO. This piece is limited to 1,948 pieces. This playing tribute to the year the Mark 11 first was introduced by IWC. When I first saw this piece, besides thinking I was looking at a blue dial, I'll admit I was probably thinking what y'all are thinking. What's the big deal? Looks just like another Flieger pilot / tool watch. Why is IWC so popular and beloved, and what is so special about this piece? But it was until I did a little research on this piece and understood the history behind IWC and this watch that my eyes were opened and understood I had something extremely special on the wrist. Now, some background information I think may help. The Mark 11, the watch that this Mark 18 is playing tribute to, it is considered by many collectors to be one of the best military watches ever produced. Introduced to the Royal Air Force in 1948 and produced until the early 80s, it is recognized as one of the most rugged and durable watches to ever be created. And sadly, its career ended in 1994 when the Mark 12, the quote-unquote the civilian model, was introduced by IWC. Personally, what I loved the most was the beautiful simplicity of this piece. I literally sat there and looked at this IWC and tried to compare it to my Oris Big Crown. I put it next to the Belova Hack Watch and even a Type A Flieger, trying to decipher what was it that made this IWC still stand out from the pack. There was just something special about this watch, and I kept gravitating towards it. And then I started thinking, could it be the iconic Mark hands with the baton-shaped but squared-off end of the hour hand, the skinny and long sword-shaped seconds hand, or attention to the small details like the polished seconds hand instead of the typical white or painted or blued seconds hands you get in most pilot watches? Was it the lack of text that allows for a more legible and elegant dial? Or maybe I'm just tripping and losing it. I must say the bright white Arabic numbers looked fantastic. But again, the small details. IWC threw in some cream loom to remind you this is inspired by history. A beautifully executed faux patina, not overly done, but just right to give this dial more contrast and complexity. Or simplicity. And as you continue to stare at this piece, it's no secret legibility was everything, and they got it just right. IWC did everything to create as much space on this dial and give you a less cluttered feel. The blocks at 3, 6, 9 along with the 12 are filled with Luminova, so you have no issues reading this at night. But the smallest detail, notice the trend? The smallest detail I noticed that, unlike most pilot watches carry, is the lone triangle at 12 o'clock. Notice anything different? There are no dots flanking that triangle. Again, just creating a beautiful, clean, and effective dial. The tribute to Mark 11 has to be one of the most comfortable pieces I've worn. The shape of the case and those lugs just hug the wrist perfectly. The nice NATO strap you get with this piece not only reminds you you are wearing a pilot's watch or tool watch, but helps with that comfort, as I loved the underside of this strap and the little touch of leather to make it feel right at home when on wrist. Now, what are my final thoughts? With a price tag of over $5,000, to some, it may be hard to understand what I'm trying to convey in this video. Shoot, I'm having troubles trying to make sure I've made sense to this point. And see, the reality is, it's just another pilot watch. And to a lot of people, it may not be worth the money IWC or local dealers are charging for this limited piece. And hey, I don't blame you. This piece is just not for you. Good news is there's plenty of great pilot watches at lower price points that may just do it for you. But if you're a purist, a collector or enthusiast who likes history, rare and hard to find pieces, who loves the more simple side of Swiss craftsmanship, who understands you have a visually beautiful movement under the hood and you don't need to see it or care to see it, who loves understated and doesn't care for the bling, if this is you watching this video, then this piece and price tag won't bother you because you get it. And understand what this watch is. You are getting a simple, modern, full of history, understated and yet beautiful and elegant piece built to Swiss watchmaking standards. It's the little and simple things done to this watch that make it so great. It's nothing too fancy, just a nice tool watch like in the old days. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed this review of this beautiful pilot's watch. This Mark 18 has definitely changed my perspective on IWC. I mean, to be quite frank, I didn't know much about them. And just now, right, I really just know a little bit about their pilot, watches and the history behind that. There's something just so elegant, yet so subtle and special about that piece. Definitely one that I have on the radar, one that I will be adding to the list. And again, it's simple, it's subtle,
but you know you have something special on the wrist. You know you have something with history. And I think that's what I love so much about it. So guys, with that said, please follow me on IG, Timeless Sneakers and Watches. Give Belmont Watches a follow as well. Let Adam know I sent you. Guys, this piece is available through Belmont. Give Adam a ring or message him on IG. Let him know I sent you. He'll take good care of you. Guys, thank you for the support, and yeah, till next time. Peace.